So as we tap into yoga in your hands, which we'll visit more thoroughly next week, the elements of nature are pacified through yoga in your hands, mudra work. And so each finger represents an element. The thumb is fire, the pointer is air, the middle finger is space, the ring finger is earth, and the pinky is water. And we're going to do this Quiet the Noise Mudra series because we're working on emotional well-being for the next 2 weeks. We did last week was our first week. So you're going to connect your thumb pad, and because the thumb is fire, fire is transformation. Fire takes us where we're going into the future, whether it's the future of our day today for transformation and change, or whether it's this idea or plan that you have for where you see yourself down the road. So we need fire because fire also stokes our metabolism, and our metabolism ties into transformation so we can digest what's going on in and around us. So most all mudras connect the thumb to the other finger pads. So there's different ways of connecting. It could be a finger pad connection, and it could be multiple fingers, or it could be a fingertip connection. You always see this in a meditation to the fingertip, Jnana Mudra, which invokes wisdom. Or it could even be on different parts of the fingers, like the inner knuckle, different parts. It could be inside the hand, and then where the other fingers roll over the thumb. So for today's purpose, I'm going to introduce you to 3 mudras called Quiet the Noise Mudra series. It's something that I developed through mudra work for my own well-being and my mental clarity because of what I suffer with myself mentally, just not living in the world. But I do suffer from dysthymia, which is a chronic underlying depressive state. So the first mudra is known as Jnana Mudra, and we're connecting the finger pads, not the tip, the finger pad. So the first and second finger, the pointer finger and the middle finger, connect to the thumb pad. The rest of the fingers extend long so that the prana can flow through unobstructedly, versus our fingers bent and then the prana has to kind of jump over things. So we want to try to extend the fingers long. This may take some practice and you might get achy in your hands, and that's okay. The next mudra, which I will repeat once I go on my mat as well, is known as Samana Mudra. And this is the mudra of digestion. So Jnana is the mudra of absorption. Samana is the mudra of digestion. And we might feel it here, digesting. And the last mudra is Apana Mudra, palms up. And that is the mudra of elimination. So as I mentioned last week, how I teach yoga is we absorb, we assimilate, and we eliminate. And these 3 mudras work together to do that. We absorb with Jnana, the first 2 fingers touching the thumb pad. We assimilate, all fingers touching the thumb pad. And then we eliminate the middle 2 fingers. Okay, and we're going to try to hold these mudras for a period of time, each individually. Traditionally, you want to hold them for 2 minutes each, so it would be a 6-minute practice. This is so beneficial for mental well-being and mental health and clarity. So if you're having a really rough day, you can practice this any time of the day. It's not going to interact with the circadian rhythm of the day. I always practice this before I go to bed because I want to absorb what I took in for the day, assimilate it, and then I want to eliminate it. I want to get rid of it before I close my eyes. And if you're sensitive to energy, you might sense where you're feeling this inside of you, which I will cue you to as well when I go sit on my mat. So this is how we're going to start our practice today. So find a comfortable seat on your mat. I highly recommend being propped up a little bit. And we're going to take a deep breath in. Allow the breath to start in the navel center or just below. Filling up as you inhale. And exhaling, pulling the navel towards the spine as you release. Inhale, fill up. And exhale, release. Really feel the body soften down into the seat of this seated posture. Inhaling and exhaling here. Just become aware of any sensations coming to the surface, anything that's holding you back. Whether it was all of our computer technical difficulties you and I both had today, whether it's just the temperature and climate of how we're walking around in this strange pandemic world. So just feel the breath filling up the body with energy. And with every exhalation, feel that absorption going down into stability. We're going to inhale now, and we're going to place our hands in the first mudra, Vyana mudra, connecting the pointer finger and middle finger pad to the thumb pad. Extend the remaining 2 fingers long and open your palms on your knees or your thighs. And then just draw your elbows back, in and down. Feeling the sensation of this mudra doing its work, possibly. You might feel this in your heart, in your throat, your upper back. But don't cling to the idea of feeling it. Just allow it to naturally happen. Vyana mudra is the mudra of absorption. It gives us the ability to take things in and to disperse it out into the extremities, the arms and the legs. It's a great way to clear an overly anxious mind that leads towards overwhelm, pacifies the mind. Each of these mudras can be done interdependently. This is just a series to help us absorb, assimilate, and eliminate. Inhaling and exhaling here. Feel the beauty of your breath. Allow any thoughts to melt away through the exhalations, out through the fingertips that are extended. On the next inhalation, you're going to switch your mudra into Samana mudra. All 4 finger pads touch the thumb, almost like you're forming a beak with your hand. And then place those palms upwards. On your thighs, draw your elbows back, in and down. This is the mudra of assimilation, digestion. This is a great mudra to practice interdependently. If you're moving about your day and you're feeling scattered and just so much is going on and you can't catch your breath, this is a great mudra to incorporate any time of the day. You may feel the absorption aspect traveling down into assimilation in the digestive area, the digestive tract, in the abdomen, maybe even the middle back. Just allow the breath rhythm to relax and become still and even. A balanced breath rhythm here, a 1-to-1 ratio of breathing, perhaps. So if you inhale to the count of 4, you exhale to the count of 4. This is an opportunity to give yourself permission to be present in the here and the now, to breathe through any distractions. Feeling the breath on the upper lip, traveling into the nose. The right nostril is our solar energy, the sun, the heat. The left nostril is the lunar energy, the cooling energy, the moon. Feel both the right and the left side evenly if you can. And then as you exhale, really feel the release of anything holding you back today from your practice. On the next inhalation, we'll switch to the final mudra, Apana mudra, elimination, connecting the middle two finger pads to the thumb pad, extending the pinky and pointer long. So just the middle two fingers. The rest of the fingers are extended. Again, resting the back of the palms on the thighs, drawing the elbows in and back and down. Feel yourself eliminating, getting rid of what no longer serves you today, what was annoying you, what was holding you back. What type of conversations did you have in your head today? What kind of self-talk? What kind of chatter? And give yourself that permission to release that chatter in the here and the now. As you exhale, releasing through the palms of your hands, maybe even through the soles of the feet and the tips of the toes. Take a deep breath in and a complete breath out. Feel this all-pervading energy of breath in and out. Feel yourself releasing and letting go. Bring your hands, palms together in Undulate Mudra on your next inhalation. Thumbs press into the heart center. Create an intention for your practice today. Mine is to breathe through my dog barking. But feel the intention covering the whole body from head to toe and toe to head. Allow the intention to cover your body like a blanket of loving kindness today. And as you inhale, gently say the words Namaste, Namaste, honoring ourselves and each other with loving kindness. And then releasing the palms open. You might even feel some heat going on in the palms of the hand. Heat and warmth actually combats anxiety and overwhelm, as well as sadness and depression. We need some warmth into our bodies. Sadness and depression gravitates more down towards the legs and the feet, and anxiety and overwhelm gravitates more into the head and above. So we need to create opposite movements through an asana practice, a posture practice, to bring us to the center or into the space between those two. So today's practice will focus on that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to lay flat on our backs. So move your props off to the side. We're going to go into Supta Chandrasana, which is supine half moon stretch. So lying on your back, just kind of wiggle your hips and your knees, just releasing any tension, gripping. Move into the upper body a little bit, sway the arms side to side and the head side to side, and just let it go. Just release it. And then exhale and soften. We're going to inhale now, and we're going to reach the arms overhead and zipper the legs together and flex the toes towards the face. And really feel the outer leg moving into the inner leg. So you're zippering your legs as if two legs are into one. Clasp your fingers together and flip your palms away and just stretch. A nice good morning stretch here. And then exhale, bring the right arm down towards the right foot and keep the left arm extended up. Inhale now, walk the legs over towards the right, only as far as you can go to where they remain zippered together. Also notice if the left hip pops up, you want to ground down through the left outer hip and feel the left rib cage moving towards the floor. Extend up through the upper arm and really feel the back of the upper arm, the tricep, roll it in and pin it in towards the face. Doesn't have to touch the face. Just roll that back part of the upper arm in. The gaze is down towards the shoulder, if not down towards the pinky toe. Inhale now and walk the torso over towards the right. So you're forming that crescent shape with the body. Variation 2 is to take the top arm, the left arm, bend the elbow, bring the hand behind the head, and take the elbow to the floor. If the elbow doesn't reach the floor, keep the arm long overhead. Inhale and exhale here, really feeling opening of the left side of the body. The ribs are moving off the hips. Hug the inner thighs towards each other. Inhale now if you're able, otherwise stay where you're at. Lift your left leg up, cross it over the right foot, and bind at the ankles. Push the feet into each other. So the left leg is crossing over the right. And keep the feet active, pushing into each other. Inhale and exhale here. This is a great way to release any leftover stagnation in the body, and it also stimulates the lymphatic system. The lymph system ties strongly into our moods and our emotions because it deals with the immune system. Inhale, come out the opposite way, release the feet, walk the torso back to center, and then the legs. And then we'll switch sides. Inhale now. Exhale, walk the legs over towards the left, zipper them together. So you might have to push more strongly out and away through the right heel of the foot. Reach the right arm overhead and the left arm down towards the left foot. The gaze is down towards the left shoulder or the left pinky toe. Inhale, pivot the upper torso over towards the left, forming that crescent shape. And really try to reach all the way through your right inner thigh, down and away through the right inner arch of the foot. Pick your position of your arms. Either the right arm is straight up overhead, pinning the upper arm bone in towards the face, or bend and place the hand behind the head and bring the elbow to the ground. Supine half moon pose. Inhale, lift the right leg up, cross over the top, binding at the ankles, and push the feet into each other, the outside of the feet, the pinky side of the foot. So really feel the crossing of those feet. Inhale and exhale here. Can you hug your inner thighs towards each other? What does it feel like? Do you feel you're gripping in your mouth and your tongue? If you are, just release. Soften the eyes. Feel the separation on the right side of the body, really opening up those channels. Remember, the right side is your solar, masculine side, and your left side is your feminine, lunar side. Inhale and exhale here. Inhale, come out in the opposite way. Release the feet first. Walk the torso back and then the feet. Good. And now we're just going to shake again. Just shimmy through the hips and the knees. And then pause. And now take your left foot over your right and bind at the ankles once more. And then shimmy and wiggle. So the left leg is over the top of the right. And push the feet towards each other. And just shimmy and wiggle just to release. This releases the low back. And then we'll switch sides. Take your right foot, cross it over the left, and then shimmy and wiggle. It's a great way to just release any tension in the pelvis, lower back area. And then release. And then roll on over to your side and push yourself up to a seated position. We're going to go into a seated twist. So if you need to sit on a blanket, do so. And we're just twist to the right. We're going to bring the left arm over to the right. Push your hand behind your sit bones, your right hand, and twist to the right. Draw the chest through. Reach the collarbones up. The top of the right shoulder blade is moving in. The top of the left shoulder blade is moving forward. Inhale now. Don't lose the twist. Lift your right arm up and laterally bend over your left knee. You're still in this twist, so be mindful if you have back issues. Only twist as far as you're comfortable. I'm in the twist. I lift my right arm up and I'm extending all the way over my left knee. I'm going to look down if I suffer more from anxiety and overwhelm. I'm going to look up and pin my chin into my underarm if I suffer from depression and sadness. Reach down through the right outer hip and hollow out the navel on the exhalation. Inhale back up to center. Release the right arm down, let go of the left, come back to center. This is Parivrita Sukhasana. Inhale, twist to the left. Use your right arm on the upper thigh and draw your chest through. Lift the collarbones. Always remain lifted in the collarbones. Feel the opening in the heart. The left fingertips reach back behind you on the floor or maybe a block. You can gaze over your back shoulder, variation 2, or just gaze over your front shoulder. It's a little bit more passive if you need to incorporate that type of energy. With every exhalation, hollow out the navel, pull down through your left kneecap. Try to remain squared in your hips unless you're suffering from like sciatic or herniations, and you want to allow the right hip to follow the twist. Inhale and exhale here. Feel the left shoulder blade moving back and in, and the right shoulder blade moving forward. Inhale and exhale. Keeping the twist wherever you're at in your twist. Lift your back arm up and laterally bend over the right knee. The gaze is down for more calming and soothing energy. The gaze is up, pinning the chin into the underarm for more activity. So just like we talked about last week, those states of the mind, Rajas is activity, Tamas is inactivity. Sattva is the middle, the harmony that we all aspire to achieve. Inhale back up to center. Good, release the hands down. Remove your blanket and take your strap. We're going to bind our thighs in child's pose, Balasana. So traditionally, the way that I was taught child's pose, Balasana, is the inner thighs line up right with the outer rib cage. So the knees aren't super wide. I'm not collapsing to the floor in Balasana, child's pose. I'm in a rounded back, just like a child would lay in a fetal position. My back is rounded, even up through the back of the neck. The inner throat is active. It pulls back. The big toes touch. They don't cross over. The big toes just touch because there's a marma point, an energy juncture or meridian in between the big toes on the inside edge, or I should say actually the outer edge, that calms the central nervous system. So we want to make sure that there's a connection there for our emotional well-being. So take your strap, and we're going to bind the strap around our upper thighs. I'm going to take the strap underneath. So see what I did there? Under the knees. Up to the uppermost part of the thigh. And you're going to draw the strap snug, but the knees are still slightly wide so the inner thighs line up with the outer ribs. You can either have your block, if your head doesn't come down to the ground, you have 3 heights. Tall height is known as Tadasana, middle height is known as Dandasana, and low height is known as Shavasana. I almost forgot. The widow's peak of the forehead is going to rest either on the floor or the edge of your block. You pick. You're going to roll into a rounded back, down to the floor. The palms are up. This is a great opportunity to even put your hands in Samana Mudra, the beak position, where all finger pads connect to the thumb pad so that you're digesting. So that's why we go into child's pose in practice, to take a break. So we're doing something, and child's pose allows us to eliminate the excessive energy that may have come up through the practice. So as you roll over, notice if your strap is too tight and if you're uncomfortable breathing here. If you are, you can release your strap loosely, or you could raise your head up onto a prop. This is a great way to stimulate the trigger points in the thighs for elimination. So get in touch with the sound of your breath and the rhythm of your breath. And as you exhale, feel the low rib cage on your back of your body pulling down towards your tailbone, and your tailbone pulling down towards your feet. If you need some activity in your legs, stretch through your toes. If this hurts your knees, you can place a blanket or a bolster instead of the bound. You can place a blanket or a bolster behind your knees and lay down this way on your forearms. Because this does have somewhat of a position like Virasana. It might be a little too hard on some knees. And then when you're ready, take your hands under your shoulders, push up to a seated position. Have your blanket handy. We're going to go into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Have your blanket handy next to you. Take your hands in front of you, tuck your toes under, exhale, lift your hips up, and walk your feet back. This is our first downward dog. So just feel it. Maybe you feel pretty stiff in your legs. So if you do, just gently walk the dog, bend one knee in, and then the other, and then the other. Just rotate. Feel the length of the arms. And again, just like we did in a previous pose, pin the upper arm bones in towards the ears. Draw the throat back, the center of the throat. Contract in the center of the throat back. Reach the hips up. Reach the shoulders towards the hips. Inhale and exhale here. Feel the breath. Hollow out the navel on the exhalations. Draw the navel towards the spine and keep some integrity on your rib cage. So knit your ribs in. Inhale, look forward and walk your feet forward, nice and slow. And bend your knees so that your thighs rest, your rib cage rests on your thighs. And let the head hang, tuck the chin in. Inhale the hands on the hips, point the elbows up, push through the feet, reach overhead. Stretch the fingers high and wide. Bring the thumbs to the third eye to invoke wisdom, to the throat center to feel the truth of your words. Feel your words spoken. And to your heart center. Bring forth some loving kindness. And then release the palms. We're going to go into the Ha sun breath like we did last week, where we went as we go down. So standing with your feet as wide as you need them, but have your feet parallel. So I don't care if your feet are super wide, but just make sure that your feet are like railroad tracks. Inhale the arms overhead. And exhale, sweep the arms back with a really nice vocal ha sound. Ha! Inhale back up, bending through the knees so the ribs touch the thighs. Ha! Inhale back up. Ha! Keep your gaze steady and forward, not up. Ha! 3 more times. Ha! At your own pace and rhythm. Ha! Dispelling any leftover tension. Ha! 1 more time. Ha! Come back up to center. Go into a gentle little back bend. Goalpost arms. Reach the collarbones up. Throat lifts up towards the sky. Inhale up. Sweep the arms down to your sides. Stand at the front of your mat and pause with your eyes closed. And just for a moment, feel what's going on inside of you. Close your eyes and notice if they're darting around. And if they are, draw your eyes towards each other between the eyebrows. Once you're able to stabilize your eyes, take notice of your breath. Is your breath full through the navel, or is it constricted? Whenever you're suffering from emotional imbalance, it's important to become aware of the breath rhythm. It's important to feel the breath rhythm, even if it feels ugly to you. So can you slow down the breath if it's feeling hyper? Or can you bring a little energy into the breath if it's feeling dull? So doing that, we practice a 1-to-1 ratio of breathing and then eventually a 2-to-1 ratio of breathing. If you lean towards anxiety, you would want to lengthen your exhalations 2 times the inhalation eventually. And if you suffer from sadness and depression, you would want to lengthen the inhalations on the 2-to-1 breathing. So just get in touch with what you're feeling. We're going to inhale now, overhead. Exhale, we're going to go into a forward fold. Have your blocks handy. You're going to stack your blocks. So remember, you have your 3 heights. So you have 2 Tadasana height blocks. Maybe you need it like this, maybe in a lower edge. So there's many variations of stacking your blocks. Try to get your forehead to the blocks. So whether the blocks are high like this and your knees are bent, eventually you'll be able to go lower with the legs more straight. And the crown of the head is then resting on the blocks. So pick your variation. Feel the inner thighs move in and back. So they move in towards each other through the inner thighs. This is known as Uttanasana. And Uttan means to stretch out. So we're stretching out the back body here. The forward body is lengthened. I'm not rounding through my shoulders, but rather lengthening my collarbones towards the ground. If your hands fall onto the ground, just turn them to the back side and let the hands just rest. Otherwise, take your palms to the outside of your shins and you can push them in so that you fire up the inner leg line. Feel again, just like child's pose. You want to feel your low rib cage move towards your tailbone here. So even though gravity wants to bring my shoulders to the ground, I want to lift my shoulders towards my butt. And I want to draw and bring my rib cage with my shoulders towards my butt. Your gaze is steady through the ankles or the inside of the shins. This is drawing some heat up into the pose. And again, maybe you want to incorporate one of the Quiet the Noise Mudras, or eventually all 3 while you hold the pose for a long period of time. The outer legs knit in towards each other. Don't spill out of your outer hips. Push them in towards each other. Inhale and exhale here. On the next inhalation, bend the knees. Bring your hands down to the ground and then go onto your knees. And we're going to prepare ourselves for Anjaneyasana, lunge pose. So inhale, bring the right foot forward and frame your foot with both blocks. If you have knee problems, take your blanket. That's why I said have your blanket handy. And you can place your knee on top of the blanket. The idea of Anjaneyasana, lunge pose, is that you want to be at the head of the knee. You don't want to be on the center or the kneecap. You want to try to get up to the quadricep muscle. And that offers you the opportunity by walking the foot back. And then all of a sudden you feel more the quadricep. If I have the knee forward, then I'm pushing down on the kneecap with my body weight. The beauty of blankets is that you can fold it in half again. And now I have a lot of cushion for the knee joint. You can even tuck your back toes under, and it creates more stability in the pelvis. So pick your variation. Having cushion underneath any type of prop under you is a good thing if you're suffering. You don't want to suffer in your poses. Poses should be steady and with ease. Sthira Sukha Asana. So as we inhale and exhale here, I want you now just to hang your head. The hands could be on blocks or the floor, but I'm just hanging my head. Feel the tailbone move down. Feel the right outer hip move down. So the right leg is forward. Lift through the pit of the belly so you're not spilling out. Inhale and exhale here. Maybe you want to say a few yeses and nos with the head. Inhale now, push through your hands or your fingertips. Lift the chest up and lift the collarbones up. Draw the blocks back a little bit so the collarbones are lifted even more. Put your blocks on your high height, Tadasana, and lift the chest and the collarbones even more. Feel the underarms reaching forward and up. Draw the shoulder blades on the back. Really push them forward into the back. That's known as depression. What's going on with the pit of the belly? Lift the pit of the belly up. And whatever touches the earth is your foundation in our poses. So feel the mound of the big toe of the front foot into the center of the heel of the front foot. The knee is above the ankle. Don't have it too far forward. Maybe this is your pose. If you're able to deepen it, walk the blocks further back and open up the chest. And this time contract the throat back. Now, when you're ready, you'll release the contraction of the throat and lift the throat up. Maybe that's your pose. Eventually, you'll be able to release the blocks even further. But this is where I'm at today. And then exhale, bring the chest forward and the chin. Bring your hands down to the ground. And we're going to switch sides. To switch sides, you can hop switch or just walk switch. Move your blanket over to the other side. Place your blocks, framing your front foot, which is now your left leg. And just look at yourself. Look at the knee above the ankle. Activate the toes by lifting them up and anchor down through the mound of the big toe. Spread wide through this fourth and fifth toe. It's almost like you're setting up a tent and you're putting stakes into the tent. And then the front center of the heel. And then you could have a blanket under your back knee or not and tuck your toes under. So what's touching the earth here is your foundation. My toes, the ball mounts are, or the top of the foot. And then the shin. If the leg's down, the shin is very active, pushing down. Exhale, let the head hang. So I'm giving a lot of verbal cues today because it's Hatha Alignment Breakdown. So just let the body take in what it needs to. If you don't want to collapse into your front thigh with your ribs, pull the navel up. Push a little bit down through the arms so they become more like pillars. Let the head hang. Become heavy in the outer left thigh. Feel the outer left thigh and the outer butt pull down towards the ground. Pull the navel up and in. This is a good position for what's known as the root lock, Mula Bandha, contracting the perineum, or I should say pulling up the perineum, in and up. The perineum is the muscle you use if you have to go to the bathroom and you don't have a bathroom close by and you have to hold it in. Feel that lifting up and in. When you're ready, or if you enjoy this, just stay here. When you're ready, push through your fingertips or your palms, turn your blocks up to the top edge in Tadasana blocks, and lift the collarbones. Maybe this is your lunge pose today, your Anjaneyasana. So lunges teach us about not throwing ourselves too far forward. If we throw ourselves too far forward in a lunge, we don't have the anchor or the root through the back leg. So are you throwing yourself too far forward? What are you doing today during this time of living that is causing you emotional distress? Maybe it's watching too much news. You have to pick so you can create balance in your life. And we could do that through asana work. Draw the blocks back and lift the collarbones up. And find your pose. Hands onto your front thigh and pushing the skin forward on the thigh. That opens up the hip flexor. And we carry a lot of emotions in what's known as the psoas muscle. So here's a deep stretch by pushing this thigh forward. I'm feeling the release in the opposite leg, which also ties into low back pain and issues. And then let's exhale, bring the hands down, frame the foot, and let's step back into downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, just for a moment. And just notice the difference. Take your block underneath your head. Whatever height works for you. Feel down dog in more of a passive state here. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog, balances out all the energies of our bodies. So when we talk about koshas, doshas, chakras, vayus, you're not sure what to do, do a down dog. And then just feel the feet. Doesn't matter if the heels don't go down to the floor. We're going to inhale now and pivot the right heel so it's in front of the left arch. So if you look my way and you need to, I'm just going to pivot. I'll pivot the other leg, but I'm just going to pivot the heel so it moves towards the arch. And then I'm going to bend my left leg so that I could stretch through the outer leg line of that foot. This is so good for back health, leg health, mental well-being. Whenever we struggle with mental distress, it goes into our legs and our feet. And then switch the feet. The opposite foot lines up in front of the arch and then bend through the knee. So I'm bringing my right foot now towards the arch and I'm bending my left knee towards my chest. My hips are still lifted in down dog. A great way to stretch out the hip, the thigh, the groin, the hamstring, the knee, the foot. And then reposition your down dog and exhale. Inhale now, come to your knees into tabletop. And we're going to go into lizard pose, Uttan Prasthasana. And again, we have that prefix of the word Uttan, like Uttanasana, forward fold, which means to stretch out. So bring your right foot, have your blocks handy. Bring your right foot forward. I'm going to switch sides this so you can see me this way. And we're setting up our lunge. But you're going to take both blocks to the inside of your right foot. Again, you have 3 heights. So you're going to pick which height works for you. And you're going to try to bring your forearm down to the blocks. The elbow in lizard pose lines up with the heel of the foot. Again, this is asana breakdown, alignment breakdown. So the elbow lines up with the heel of the foot. So whether you're on the top height, middle height, or low height, try to get your elbows in alignment with the heel. Try to pin the right knee in towards the body. Reach the collarbones and lift them up and forward. I like to bring my palms together. The back leg is just like it is in lunge pose. You can either be on the top of the foot, shin pushing down, or you can have your toes tucked under. Inhale and exhale here. If your legs are feeling tight, bring your fingers into Apana Mudra, the last mudra. The 2 middle fingers touching the thumb pad, and then the pinky and pointer extended, just like this. And let's just breathe here. So Pristha means book. So we have Uttan Prasthasana. It does not transfer into lizard pose, but what it transfers is extended book. So how can you extend your story is how I like to interpret it. What kind of character do you want to play in your story? Do you want to play somebody who's always sad and depressed? Somebody who's always anxious and overwhelmed? Or do you want to find things to flip that switch? So lizard pose is one of those poses that can flip that switch. Inhale, place your hands on top of the blocks. Bring yourself back up to center. And we're going to switch sides. Step back with the right foot and forward with the left. Inhale here and frame the front foot with your blocks and then bring the blocks to the inside. If you're having a hard time keeping the knee in towards the body and it opens up like this, then widen the foot, walk it to the outside of your mat, and you can turn your foot out. This will protect your knee joint with how your hips are positioned today. Remember, you have the tall edge of your blocks to work with, and maybe you want to stay like this. Eventually, try to get one arm down and then the other. And even though your foot is wide, try to draw the inner knee in. That comes from the inner thigh, and the outer buttocks is pushing down. So picture your left butt cheek rolling under the body. Find your seat. What's going on with your back leg? Is your shin pushing down towards the ground? If the foot's flat, if the foot's tucked under, really feel the hip bones moving towards each other. It's a beautiful pose to picture this length through the torso, both the front edge of the torso, front side, and then the back side where we carry all of our shadows. So how are you stretching out the story of your life? Inhale and exhale. Bring your hands to the blocks, open up the collarbones in the chest, and then bring the left knee back into tabletop. And then just sit back into Balasana, child's pose, just for a moment, whatever your child's pose looks like. Just let it go here. Let go of any leftover thoughts of doing when you're in child's pose. We're going to come to standing and we're going to work on our balance pose. So bring your hands underneath your shoulders and push yourself up to seated, and then tuck your toes under into a forward bend. Breathe, exhaling. Inhale, hands on hips, elbows up. Push through the feet, lead through the heart. Again, reaching overhead. Drawing the hands to the third eye, wisdom, intellect, throat center. Feel your words that you speak so you know what's spoken. To your heart center, a lot of loving kindness sent your way, and then release the palms. We're going to go into Vrksasana, tree pose. So I'm going to show you with a strap. You can choose to use a strap or not, but I wanted to give you an option. And if you want to be close to a wall, if you have balance issues, or if you have a chair, you could hold on to a chair. If you have your strap, you're going to bind it to make a loop. Depending on how strong your tree is, if you're a tree and your leg is up here, your loop is going to be smaller because we're going to be holding this loop around the front foot. If your tree is down to your shin, because your foot should only be above or below your knee, then the loop of your strap will be longer so you could reach it. So I'm going to show you, and we're going to do it together. So we're going to stand on our right foot first, and that's going to be the tree trunk. So picture the trees and earth when you go hiking, if you do go hiking, or just as you explore and drive and see them. Notice that trees grow out of the earth. We don't see their roots. And then their limbs expand up and away. So you want to feel the roots through the bottom of your feet, grounding you, but then you want to feel the rebound effect up through the inner thigh, up through the rib cage, through the midline of the body, growing tall and long. So see if you can sense that when you're in tree. So you're going to take the loop and you're going to place your leg through it. So you want to keep it low, down to the shin area of the foot. And then you're going to turn your foot out to the side. So I'm on my right foot, sorry. So I'm going to turn my left foot out to the side and bring the foot in towards the leg, towards my right leg. Notice your right foot, the tendencies we turn our foot out, have it 90 degrees pointing forward, okay? Inhale now, walk the left foot up to the shin and hold the loop in your left hand, pulling up with your left arm. Maybe you're here. Maybe this is your Vrksasana, your tree. And if you are here, just grow. Don't dump into your right hip. Pin your right hip in. Open up your left knee out to the side. If you're able to, you bring the strap up, the leg up higher to your upper thigh, and your loop will be smaller, and then you would hold the loop and pull up. If this strap is too much for you today, don't worry, just go in your tree and extend the leaves. The leaves are in the fingertips. Extend your branches through your heart, underarm, arm. Inhale and exhale here. One-pointed focus in tree pose is so beneficial for mental well-being. We would not be able to balance if we were all over the place. And then come out in the opposite way, releasing the leg, releasing the strap, and just pause. We're going to do the other side. And the other side is more challenging for me because this is the leg I had to learn to re-walk with. So I'm going to start low. I'm going to have my loop big. I'm going to get in touch with the sound of my breath. Hopefully you hear me. And notice my hip was popping out. I want to pull my hip in, lift through the midline, Anchor down through all 3 points of the foot, the mound of the big toe, space between the 4th and 5th toe, and the front center of that heel. This is my trunk. I'm going to pull my upper thigh bone back, turn my right foot out, walk it up my shin, and open and lift through the collarbones. If I'm able to, I'm going to bring my knee back into space and push my right foot into the standing leg. When you're ready, grow your branches. If you really want to challenge yourself, close your eyes. Inhale and exhale here. If you can, walk the foot up higher. I'm just happy I can even balance on this leg. Couldn't do it for almost a year. So inhale and exhale, lift the pit of the belly. Feel the right buttocks wrapping under and forward. The right buttocks wraps under. The right shin lifts up. Even if it's low, it's isometrically lifting towards the hamstring. And then come out in the opposite way and release the strap. Beautiful. We're going to come down to the ground. We're going to rock and roll down to the ground. And then coming up into upward facing boat pose, Urdhva Namasana. So standing at the front of your mat, have your strap close by. Catch up with your breath. Inhale and exhale here. Inhale, squat down, roll back and over. Try to get up to your shoulders. And then inhale back up and exhale, roll back. We're massaging the spine here. Exhale back up. Inhale, roll back. 2 more times. On the last time, you're going to try to come up and remain balanced. 1 last time. And how you can remain balanced is to hold behind your knees and pull the knees back towards the chest when you come up. If you're able to lift the shins so they're parallel to the ground and flex the feet, flex the toes. Notice I'm not on my low back. I'm literally lifting up through the tailbone. Just like everything else, collarbones are lifted. Inhale and exhale. Release the feet. We're going to do some toe tapping to fire up the abdomen and the strength of our core. So walk your feet close in. So the idea of upward facing boat pose, when the legs lifted, whether it's straight or parallel to the ground, is that the ribs are moving towards, and the chest are moving towards the knees versus back like this. This is a different pose. So we're going to do some toe taps to feel it. You can use your hands, or if you want more challenge, you'll reach your arms long alongside the legs. Inhale, excuse me, lift the knees up and pull them in towards the chest, and then tap the right toes to the ground, exhaling. Inhale back up, exhaling left toes. Inhale back up, exhaling. We'll do this for a few times at your own pace and your own breath. Variation 2 is to challenge yourself, parallel toe tap. Use your breath for a guide. Three more times. Maybe the arms are out to the side. Try not to drop your torso when you lift your arms up. And then release. Let's take our strap for a little more challenge, but it's also stability. So it's important that we have stability for full functional mobility. So picture a boat in the water. When the waves come, it moves a little bit, but it remains standing up on the top of the surface. So that's what you want to feel. Can you maintain the integrity of your breath through the fluctuations of those waves that come into our world, into our mind space? How do you interpret the sensory input so that you can react through the sensory output with strength and integrity? So take your strap into a loop. So what I did is I stepped through my loop. And this time you do want to bind your thighs snug together. My strap is mid-thigh, so in between my knee and my hip is where I'm bound. I'm going to try Urdhva Navasana with the strap. I want to move the flesh out from underneath my bum so that maybe I could feel my sit bones a little bit more. You can also sit on a blanket if you need to, if the floor is just too hard for you. I'm going to inhale, lift my legs up again. Chest comes in towards the knees. I'm going to flex my feet. Maybe this is where I'm at. Feel the bursting wide into the strap and then open the arms. Maybe you could straighten the legs and lower them. Straighten them and lower them. Maybe one at a time. Maybe just toe tapping with the strap. This fires up the outer leg line, which tends to be weak or weakened as we age. So inhale, lift through the chest, hold the back of the knees, zipper the inner thighs towards each other isometrically while bursting wide into the strap. Extend the arms long. And then pick your variation or just stay here. 5, 4, keep breathing. 3, 2, and 1. Release the legs down. Unbind yourself. We're going to go into our twist, and then we're going to do bridge pose. I don't know if you have a bolster, so I'm going to show you over 2 bolsters, but you could always create a bolster with blankets. So I'm going to set that up for you so you could see first. So you're going to have your blanket folded like this, and then you fold that neatly in half. Okay? This is a makeshift low bolster. You're going to take a second blanket and fold that in half. And then you're going to stack it opposite. And I know I'm being very specific about some of these verbal cues, but when we don't align the joints and the bones and the muscles properly, so we don't align the muscles and the bones into their joints properly, mayhem and pain can occur. So it's really important in alignment yoga that you understand that, so that maybe you can understand the method of my madness. So when I opposite, so the fringe side is here on the top blanket, but on the bottom blanket, my fringe side is opposite. See, this is a closed cell. This is an open cell. Fringe, closed. If I flip it around, same thing. Now the top is fringed, bottom is closed. The reason for that is because that's creating stability into the blankets. If I was to stack them so that they mirrored each other, the open side of the blanket is not as stable, and that would be mushier on this side for the hips than this side. I want to create balance. If that is just way too much for you, then just disregard it. So this could be your makeshift bolster, okay? For me, I'm going to show you over 2 bolsters because it's pretty cool. And I think you can find things around your house to mimic this. If not, if you have 1 bolster, you would stack the 2 blankets to create the second on top. I bound them together, okay? So before I put this on my mat, let's just go into just a gentle little twist just to relieve the spine before we go into that. So take your knees, lay on your back, hug your knees into your chest, and just pause for a moment. Bring your arms out to the side, forming a T, palms down. Zipper your legs together. Inhale now, sweep the knees over towards the right and up towards the arm. Resting. Into the twist. The shoulders are flat. The upper back is squared on the ground. If your upper back's not squared on the ground, take a block and place it underneath the knees. The bottom foot, don't let it hang, connect it to the top foot. The bottom foot, don't let it separate, connect it to the top foot. Feet are active. Palms are down. Inhale and exhale here, let it be passive. There's a lot going on in a twist pose, but we don't need to visit that right now. Just feel the twist. Feel the exhalations as the navel draws towards the spine, hollowing out the navel center. So you could feel the movement of the twist a little bit more through the hips. Maybe just push the tailbone down away from you. And all of a sudden the spine might release a little bit more. Inhale back to center. Pause. And then exhale. Bring the knees over towards the left. Sweep them up towards the elbow. Rest your knees on a prop if the legs can't remain connected. And make sure the bottom foot connects up into the top foot. The upper back is squared on the mat. And as you exhale here, hollow out the navel. Maybe take your left hand, take it to the top of your right thigh and draw the flesh down towards the knee as you push the tailbone away, as if you're sticking your butt out. And then release the palm back down to the floor. Inhale and exhale. Beautiful. Inhale, try to keep the knees together as you bring them back to center. And then roll on over to your side and prop yourself up to a seated position, and I'll show you bridge pose. So have your makeshift bolster, whether it's over a blanket on the floor, it could just be over one blanket, fold that in place of the two bolsters. It would just be on the ground like this. Okay, so I'm going to keep that next to it so you could see. The bridge, the actual lifting and the rounding of the back and this back bend won't occur so deeply with just one blanket, but it will work. So if you have one bolster or two, or you're just sitting on your blanket, you're going to sit on the back edge. You're going to inhale and pause. And then you're going to lie back onto the blanket or bolster and bring your butt towards the bottom edge. And pause. Use your hands, use your feet. And now I'm just going to roll over the top edge of my bolster, bringing my shoulders. See my shoulders? Bringing the shoulders down to the ground. The chest comes towards the chin. Not the chin towards the chest. Just like we've been doing, I want you to contract through the center of the throat. So the back of the throat, pull it back towards the mat. So there's activity in our throat center, which ties into how we speak our truth, our vocal cords, our parathyroid, our thyroid, our endocrine system. Our endocrine system through the back body here in this back bend. And then the feet will be bent, whether you're just on the blanket low to the ground. And if you're on the bolster, you're going to hug the inner shins into the bolster. So there's a lot going on with props, but you could just lie flat on the blanket, which I will show you. So if I'm on the blanket, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 blankets, I just want the uppermost part of my shoulders coming off the edge of the blanket until they touch. Knees are bent and touching, feet are wide. And we're just gonna pause here for a little bit. Notice my back of my shoulders, my scapula are still on the edge of the blanket. Just the deltoids, the top, head of the shoulders are moving down towards the ground. Keep the gaze steady. Don't turn the neck. You can close your eyes. You can place your hands in Samana Mudra again if you want, the beak position. Thumb pad to all the remaining 4 fingers, or maybe if your legs hurt, use Apana, the last mudra. Or if you're stuck in your breath and you can't breathe, use the first mudra, Vyana, the pointer and the middle finger. That will help you gain some more strength in your breath. Or just keep your palms open. So the bridge, think of a bridge. Think about the stability of a bridge to carry all that weight as you move from one side of the world to the other. And what does that symbolize for you? As you feel this essence of the back bend in the upper back, feel that structure of the bridge in your life. Would you feel safe to travel over it? Or does it need a little bit more work into the support of it? And as you inhale and exhale, release all of that. Just let it go through the fingers and the palms of the hands and down through the soles of the feet and the tips of the toes. To come out of this pose, if you're on your bolster, you're just going to go straight back off of it. The blanket, just lift your hips up and then release the hips flat to the ground again, and then straighten the legs, preparing for Shavasana. If you need support underneath your knees for Shavasana, place your blanket there or your bolster. Make sure I'm still viewable. You pick. And we're going to prepare for final Shavasana, so make sure you're warm. Have your knee, socks back on or wrap yourself in a blanket. This time there's nothing for you to do with your palms, just to allow them to be open, to receive all the juiciness of your practice today. So we're going to clench into our muscles and our joints just to release that much more deeply into corpse pose, final relaxation pose. So first, I want you to lift your arms up only less than an inch, and then form a gentle little fist and squeeze from the fist to the underarms. Inhaling here, and then exhale and just drop them. Do that 2 more times. Inhale, squeeze, and just hovering over the ground. Squeeze up into the upper ribs, under the arms. And then exhale, drop. 1 more time. Lift, squeeze. And then drop. Now the legs. Draw your toes into a little fist. And then lift through the shins as much as you can or as little. You're just hovering. And then squeeze in through the groin, squeeze into the butt, and then drop. 2 more times, inhaling. Maybe it's a hugging into the butt and not necessarily a squeeze, but just feel it. And then drop. 1 more time. Nice way to release tension and drop. Now hug into your navel. This is the hara, the heart center of your practice. Hug into it through the ribs, side body. Maybe it travels up into the chest. Maybe you actually want to hug yourself. You pick and then release. Hug into the navel, squeeze into that area, contracting. And then release. One more time. And then release. Now the face, my favorite part. Making a squirrel face, pinching through the lips and the eyes and the ears, squeezing them in and through the skin. Nobody could see you, so it's great. And then release the face. 2 more times, squeezing into the face. And then releasing the face. Get into the eyes too, the eyebrows, and the furrow of your brow, your skin on your forehead. And then release. Now we're going to stick out our tongue really wide and the eyes, open them really wide. Tongue out and down, eyes up. And then release, closing the eyes and the mouth. 2 more times. Tongue out and down, eyes up. And then closing the eyes and the mouth. Last time. And then close and soften. Allow the breath to be its natural rhythm. Inhaling and exhaling. Allowing yourself to let go into corpse pose, final relaxation. I'm going to read you a poem. I will not live an unlived life. I will not live an unlived life. I will not live in fear of failing or catching fire. I choose to inhabit my days, to allow my living to open me, to make me less afraid, more accessible, to loosen my heart until it becomes a wing, a torch, a promise. I choose to risk my significance, to live so that which came to me as seed goes to the next as blossom, and that which comes to me as blossom goes on as fruit. I will not live an unlived life. I will not live an unlived life. I will not live in fear of failing or catching fire. I choose to inhabit my days, to allow my living to open me, to make me less afraid, more accessible, to loosen my heart until it becomes a wing, a torch, a promise. I choose to risk my significance, to live so that which came to me as seed goes to the next as blossom, and that which comes to me as blossom goes on as fruit. As you inhale and exhale up and out through the crown of the head, for the next few moments in stillness, just breathe. On the next inhalation, keeping your eyes closed, gently bring your awareness back to your physical body and the space that you occupy. On the next exhalation, take your thumb and drape it across all the other finger pads, embracing the sensation. Keeping your eyes closed, bring your palms together and rub them together vigorously to create some heat and warmth. And place those palms over your eyes, opening your eyes into the warmth and darkness. And just massage wherever the fingers land. Take a full deep breath in and a complete breath out. Hug your knees into your chest and roll on over to your left side and pause in a fetal position. The heart faces the floor and the earth. The top shoulder rolls over towards the earth. We lie on our left side so that the right ear, which is transformation through the right side of the body, is open to transform and metabolize the practice, to allow less uncertainty. So as we inhale and exhale on our left side, pause and embrace yourself for practicing today. And when you're ready, the head is the last thing that comes up. Use your top arm and hand to gently push yourself up to a seated position. Head comes up last. We'll end the class with the chant of Om. You can join me if you wish. As we inhale and exhale, take a deep breath in and a complete breath out. On the next exhalation, we'll begin. Take a deep breath in. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Namaste.